Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. So today we're going to be talking about Gov War, and the first 24 hours of Gov War, the start of Gov War, makes a huge difference, right? So I'm going to explain to you why it makes a huge difference and what you need to do to ensure you have a great start at Gov War, and hopefully help prevent you from getting stuck in a predicament where you're trapped in, people are better than you, and you don't see any future moving forward with your Gov War, okay? So there are loads of tips and tricks and ways to work around this, guys. There truly is. So first things first, before you even get into Gov War, you get to know what your map is, right? So you get to see what is on the map, right? So you don't see all these other people. So let's just remove all these here, right? Yeah, so if we remove all this, right? So when you first go on the map, you don't see anything other than all the buildings. Hold on, I need to put the buildings back on. Let me see, right? Neutral buildings. So all you can see is the buildings, right? So what you need to do with your R4s, you need to either go on a group call, that makes a world of a difference, or in chat you need to mark out what territory you want to be yours, right? So you can make alliances with other people. Yeah, so you need to look through the list of people who are there in your section and in other sections around Gov War, because obviously, as you can tell, Gov War is massive, right? So somewhere within all this chaos, you are going to find some alliances, okay? So you need to find who you're going to alliance up with, who you're going to team up with. If that's in your section, you then need to figure out who gets what buildings, and then you need to make sure that there's a game plan of making sure that that happens, right? So we'll get into that in a second. So you can make alliances in your own section and outside section. Some Gov Wars give you the ability to actually have a physical alliance where you can like teleport onto each other's, like land and stuff like that. Some don't, some do. Some don't, some do, right? It doesn't matter either way. If you can build a good rapport, a good relationship with that person, you can build, a bit of trust and work together. Sometimes they'll stab you in the back, but that's the whole point of a strategy war game. Things go wrong. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But don't worry about it. Always have a backup plan. Expect the worst, hope for the best, guys, right? Especially with this type of game. So you need to plan your tower attack, right? Before you go into Gov War, you set down your stronghold. You need to plan what you want. So my first instinct was, I want to put stronghold here, right next to the main building here, the Uptown Central. Huge shout out and thank you to GemZ for sponsoring today's video. GemZ is a top-up service for loads of mobile games what we play ourselves, such as Dark War Survival, Grand Gangster War, Age of Empire, Sea of Conquest, you name it, they more likely work with it. Click the top link in description to go check out their Discord. First purchases, you get $10 off, and if you do one of their flash deals, what you can see on screen now, the Goblin Market, you deposit $77 and you get $100 worth of in-game packs that you can spend. And don't worry, you don't have to spend it all in one game. You can spend it on multiple games, guys. They keep the balance for you. Building, right? So that was my main instinct. That was my main thought. And then I'm like, okay, so we got two buildings there. We got two buildings there. And then we got buildings going all the way across there, right? Awesome. And then you got loads of little tiddly ones all around, right? So you need to look at each one of them, figure out how could that benefit you, what could that do to to work in your favor. And then I was like, okay, well, let's have a little look in the secondary area, just to make sure that where we plan to build in the first section will help us in the secondary section, right? So you always want to kind of plan ahead one step, right? You don't want to just do one thing at a time. Sometimes when it comes to Gov War, sometimes you want to look at your next step to ensure that it helps you. So if I didn't look at the next step, right, I could maybe think, right, so what I want to do is I want to come down to the bottom checkpoint. I just want the bottom checkpoint, right? But if you look at this one here, it does have a little hole, little entrance where you can go through to the secondary one, to then you can start trying to go into someone else's stone and things like that. So I personally think you kind of want to grab the top end if you can for this one. So I was like, right, so what we want to do, get by the central building, we want to take this one, we want to take that one, and then we want to move over, right? So we want to have at least this one and that one. I was like, and in the future we can maybe push up there and take them out if we needed, because they already placed down their stronghold. I looked at the faction, it didn't seem to be a big threat for me, and that's a big part of it, guys, is figuring out who is a threat, who is not a threat, right? Who can actually do damage to you, who can't. Okay, so once you've got your game plan like we set out, right, I made a little simple diagram, a little screenshot, right? And I put numbers next to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 right? So that's where we plan to attack first. I want you to go down to this, like, let's say down to this building first. Then I want you to take that building, and then I want you to move on to this checkpoint, and then that one, yeah? So there was a plan of attack. Everybody knew what sequence we need to move into and what we need to accomplish, right? You need to make sure that your members are prepped. I need you all farming resources, as well as keeping some general troops back, or 2 crews back for towers, right? Because the first 24 hours, you need to put down every tower humanly possible what you need to secure your land, because that's your dominance. That shows how active you are, shows how powerful you are, and a bit of your confidence as well. You know, you got to believe in yourself that you can take extra land, that you deserve to have a spot within this game, right? Because if you just, like these, hide in a corner, if you click on these, I guarantee they're small, right? I guarantee they're not going to be very big. Faction info, 6 billion, 7 billion, right? Exactly, right? You know they've already made their bed and they're going to lay in it. They instantly have already come at us and said, look, I'm a noob, please don't hit me. That's what their response was. And a little bit cheeky, trying to just get one robbery camp thing, right? You know what I mean? So who do you want to be? Do you want to be this guy in the corner, or do you want to be the guy who's spread out, trying to assert their dominance straight away and go for certain buildings and checkpoints, trying to set up for the next section to go through? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be? And even if your faction isn't the biggest, as long as you do the activity and you move fast, you can sometimes make people think, maybe I'm not going to go straight for them. Let's see what they do. You know, and you can earn a lot of respect by moving fast, by acting fast and doing what you need to do. If you don't have the activity to move fast, to build the towers, to take the checkpoints, realistically, you don't have loads and loads of options other than, like this person's done down here, they've hidden the corner, you know. But the main thing is, even if you're small, if you make an alliance with a couple factions, you know, bigger than you, who can actually contend with some people in your area, you can at least have a half decent first zone, you know. You might not be able to make it to second, third, fourth, whatever, but even if you can have a half decent first zone, you can still do some things, still grow a little bit. You know, you're not going to get the full extent of Gov War, but if that's what's going to happen for a couple Gov Wars for you to be big enough and strong enough to go and do other things, fair play. But I always recommend at least risking it. Try and get one checkpoint, yeah? Try to do something a bit ballsy, right? Take one risk. Try to do a risk, because you'll surprise yourself. When you get out of your comfort zone, you take a risk, you try it. Sometimes it works out in your favor, and you can actually go above and beyond, right? You can actually make people, hold on a minute, I ain't going for them. Fair play. They're smashing it. They're building towers faster than me. They're so active. I ain't going for it. You know? That might get you through state 1. You know, state 2 is a different scenario. This state's pretty good, to be fair. I don't see many people really coming through here hot and heavy very fast. So, you know, even if you have the bottom end, you could probably try and sneak through at a later date to maybe zone 3. First time doing this Gov War last stand. But, you know, there's many different things you can do. The main thing you can do and you should do is you need to be active. You need to have a game plan. If you don't have an idea of what you need to do and what you're going to do, yeah, right, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get anywhere. You can't go, yeah, my Gov was bad, I'm trapped already, and you had no game plan. That's your own fault. That's on you. Get a game plan with your leaders. Make action. Make a step guide to what you need to do. As the 5P say, preparation prevents piss poor performance. If you're not prepared, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have an idea what you're doing, nobody else will. And another one of the main points is, as a leader, once you've got your game plan, not only have you got your game plan, you need all your leaders to follow it, right? And stay awake and follow all time zones, right? For the next like 24, 48 hours. That's the most crucial time. You also need to let your members know exactly what they need to do, what their expectations are, what their requirements are right now. Because if they're not told to do anything, what the hell are they going to do? Anything they want. So if you say to them, right, I need you all farming, you need to send out 5 lots of farming troops, I need you to hold back 2, 3 crew lines for potential attacks, as well as tower building, you know, they're going to know what they need to do. Does that make sense? If they're not told what to do, they won't be doing it. You've got to look at it as, if you can get away with not doing anything, people are going to do it, right? People are always going to choose the easy route. So you need to make sure you set on them straight away. This is what I need you to do. Let's get this going. It's all going to benefit us. Give them a reason as well. Give them a purpose to do it. Not just do this now. You know, come on, guys. Right, let's all work together. We'll take over these checkpoints. We'll get extra rewards. We'll move on to this zone. Do you know, build a story, paint an image, paint a picture for them so they know what they're fighting towards and what they're going towards, you know. Don't always lead your guys in blind. Sometimes you have to, but sometimes you don't. So sometimes it's good to make sure you trust who you've got in your faction so then you can be open, honest with them and guide them in the right direction. If that makes sense. Yeah? But a lot of this comes down to leaders. You got, you know, leaders make the big difference here. It makes or break the faction, you know, to what happens. Okay? So, and it's also knowing, don't over put down Lords of Towers, because we haven't put down towers in like 2 days, because we don't need to. We don't need to push out anywhere. We don't need to try and take anything extra. We've got what we want, and then we'll move through. Do you know what I mean? Now it comes down to communication, refining, you know, alliances, friendships, you know, and educating yourself on who's around. Watch and observe, guys. Yeah, if you're watching to this point, right, 10 minutes in, type down in the comments, watch and observe. And the reason being, guys, is because you'll learn a lot about people when you just sit back and you listen. If you always talk, you're not going to learn the most. Let them show you with their actions. That's why I always say I don't like to shit talk. I like to show people with my actions. My actions are my words in this game. And the best way to do it is because that makes you feared, it makes you powerful, and it makes you very wise and smart. Because you're not acting on emotions, you're not acting rash, jumping out, just shooting from the hip. You're taking educated, calculated guesses. And the thing is, if you watch them and you know when they're active, all right, I know that they're active between these time zones. And if I do need to have to take them out, they're quiet on this time. So when am I going to hit them? When I've noticed that they're quiet. Yeah? You don't hit people when they've got all their main people online. It doesn't make sense. You want to lower your casualties and increase their casualties. You're playing smart. It's a strategy game, right? So there's a lot what goes into it. There's a lot what goes into this, right? I can never explain all of it in one video. I can't explain everything what goes through my brain and how it works, right? But the moral of the story is it comes down to teamwork and a game plan. You know, even if you're blocked in, what else can you do? You know, so there might be a powerhouse dominating this side, right? But could you maybe move over this side? Could you get rid of your stronghold, move over this side, start fresh? Is there weaker opponents on this side which you can maybe tackle? That side maybe not. This side maybe you can. You know, it's trying everything. You know, this game is about trial and error. So if you trial it and it works, awesome. If you trial it and it doesn't work, cool. Try another one. There's always a solution to every problem. You know, communication can help. Some people pay factions. I don't recommend it, but it might fit your needs at that time. You know, every faction is a different size, different situation. You know, if you haven't got like 31 bill players, you might not be equipped to fight every fight, you know. And sometimes you got to make deals to get through to zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. Teamwork does definitely make the dream work for the most part. You know, if that's working with just your faction or if that's working with other factions, that's fine. You need to find what works for you, works for your faction. But the main thing is don't just stick your head in the sand and expect it all to go away, because it doesn't happen. It's a strategy game. You have to find your way out of that trap. How can you do it? You tell me. How do you do it? Because I can tell you loads of different ways, but you need to come up with your way, because your way depends on what situation you're in. And that's why, like one-on-one training with me, I can help people in a lot better standard and a lot better way to make them grow rapidly. Most people who do like a training session with me on Discord double in size within like the next 3-4 months, or even less than that, to be fair. But still, it's because it's specialized to them. You know, I can't tell you exactly everything for your Gov War, because that's you. That's with them individuals. That's your situation you're in. So you need to take the advice and tips I've given you and find a way to mold that and push that into a way for you to get out of your situation or to advance and push forward. It might not help you this Gov War, but it might help you next Gov War. And the thing is with this game is it's never going to get easier for you until you realize how to play the game. Play the game. Don't let the game play you. Yeah? Every single person, every single one of these dots here are a person. It's a human being. We all have the equal amount of like ability to research, to educate ourselves, to trial things, you know, for the good and the bad. Do you know what I mean? So you need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to put yourself in the best situation to overcome and adapt to any situation that comes your way. And I believe in every single one of you guys, because I've been in some shite ones. Like last Gov War, we went against like 7 factions from the same fucking city. Yeah? But we still came out and we went all the way to the end, went to the final zone. So, you know, never say never, you know. We went through that whole thing kind of with no alliances. I don't think we had alliances all the way through it. But you can still overcome, adapt, and build, and blah, 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 blah. You guys can do it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the raffle link down below. And if you want to get yourself in-game packs on this game, Dark War Survival, loads and loads of other games, check out Gemsy. You can get up to 35% off. And for your first purchase, get $10 off. Right. Make sure to click the join button as well, guys. Goodbye.